Hey, what's up, naughty community? Welcome back to my naughty hobby with Amber for another super easy to follow crochet tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this texturized, beautiful sunflower square that I recently learned and thought that you would like to know how to make one of your own. For this tutorial, I will be using this is a 2.75 millimeter hook or a C. You can kind of see there. Some scissors, a wide eye sewing needle, and I am using 100% cotton yarn. And this is a super fine #1 weight. You can use any size hook and correlating yarn size available to you though to create the same look. Let's go ahead and get started with this. Move this off to the side. So we'll be creating a circle and then turning it into a square. So we're going to start by creating a magic ring. And we're going to chain 3. And the chain 3 does count as our first stitch. Now we're going to place 11 double crochets into the center, making sure we work over both of the loops so we don't drop any of our stitches. Be mindful not to work these foundation stitches real tight because it makes it harder to close up your circle at the end if you work these stitches really tight. I lost count of my stitches. I think we have enough. So again, we're going to count that chain 3 as our first. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We've got 2 more to go. There's 1 and 2. Now you're going to find your tail. I always like to kind of unwind it from the magic ring a little bit, and then you will just pull to close. So we'll count up from the base of those chains. 1, 2, and here's that third one. I like to go right behind that front loop to join with a slip stitch. So it should be looking like just a little circle so far. All right, now we're going to work a round of puff stitches. So between our start chain and the first actual stitch of our last round, we are going to slip stitch right into there. Maybe. And I'm going to do a chain 3. And then in between is where we're going to work that puff stitch. So I yarned over, insert my hook, and drop a loop. Yarn over, insert my hook and drop a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of your loops except for your last one, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Now when we come back around to join, we're going to join right here to the top and not into the 3rd, because this all actually counts as our first puff stitch. Chain 1 and then puff stitch in between our double crochets. Chain 1 and then puff stitch again in between, not going into the stitch but going in between. We're going to continue this all the way around. So let's continue working that chain 1 and puff stitch, and I will meet you back at the join. All right, we've worked those puff stitches all the way around, and I'm back here at the beginning. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to bypass our chains here, and we're going to work our slip stitch into the top, to the top of our puff stitch. I don't know, I don't love that. I'm going to work that slip stitch so it appears that this is, what I'm going to do is go through that top, and I'm going to go through the actual top of the stitch just to kind of make those chains be more of the stitch. I don't know, it'll kind of buff out as we continue on. We just want to make sure that this is all viewed as one stitch. So let's slip stitch back into there, and then the chain 1, this wasn't the way that I was taught, but I like the way that it looks better than slip stitching into the chain space. We're going to slip stitch directly into that chain going under that bottom loop. Now chain up 3. This one's going to count as our first stitch, and place 2 double crochets into that same spot. So it should be looking like this. Now we're going to chain 1, and into the chain 1 spaces around, we will place 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 double into that next chain 1 space. So we'll just continue that pattern, and I'll meet you back at the join. So from here, chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next. Okay, on my last stitch here, I've already put that chain 1, and again, that beginning chain counts as our first puff stitch, so don't put another one here. You should have a total of, I think it's 12 groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. So let's count up from the base of our chains, 1, 2, to that third one. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch, and we're going to go ahead and fasten off that first color, the brown. This is how your piece should be looking. I'm not going to weave my ends in right now. And on to the next color. In this pattern, I use the darker yellow for the center and the lighter, and I'm going to switch it around to see how it looks. So starting in any of these chain one spaces, or actually let's work it right into the stitch. You could put a slip knot on your hook, but I just place the yarn around my hook and leave that tail chilling. Make sure you're working with the actual working yarn. We're going to put one chain on there, kind of pull it down so that chain doesn't cause too much bulk. And then into each of those double crochets and the chain space, we're going to place a single crochet. And when you get to that chain one space, just go right over the stitch. We're not going to actually be working into the chains. We're just placing single crochets into every stitch in every chain one space. So let's continue all the way around, and I will meet you at the join. All right. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 48 single crochets. So I'm just going to work my last single crochet into that chain one space. And then right here, we're not going to work into the chain, we're going to work into the top of that first single crochet made. Go ahead and slip stitch. We're going to cut off that color. And I like to kind of cinch that down so it doesn't look like another stitch. Sometimes it can be tricky. So this is our very last stitch, and this is our very first stitch. Again, I'm not weaving my ends yet. Go ahead and grab the cream color or the base for the square. Got a little bit of yarn barf. Sorry if you can hear my boys arguing in the background. It's okay. So I like to start this next round, locate any of these groups of 3, and we're going to go straight up from the first one and working into the back loops only. Bring on that cream color. And we're going to chain up 3, which does count as the first stitch. Again, make sure you're working that into the back loop only. Now we're going to work another double crochet into that same stitch. We're going to chain 2, and into the next back loop we're going to work 2 double crochets. We've created our first corner here, and now we're going to continue to work a double crochet, 2 half double crochets, well, a half double crochet into the next 2, we're going to work 4 single crochets, let's start building up for that next corner by doing a half double crochet into the next two. Double crochet into the next. Two double crochets into the next. We're starting another corner here. We're going to chain two and work two double crochets into the next stitch to complete our second corner. And we're going to follow the pattern that we did from our first corner, which was a double crochet, half double crochet into the next two, a single crochet into the next four, and now we'll start building up to our next corner. Half double crochet into the next two, double crochet into the next, two double crochet, go ahead and chain two, two double crochet into the next, double crochet, half double into the next two, four single crochets, let's work a half double into the next two, double into the next, two doubles into the next, chain two, two double crochet into the next. We've got our last corner completed. And we'll continue to follow our pattern we've been working. So we've got two stitches here. Work a double crochet, excuse me, and then two half double crochets, I lost my loop there. It's weird. Let's pull that one out and try again. I think it's because I tried to go over, which I am going to go over that. There's one. Two. Then we're going to work four singles. A half double into the next two. And then a double into our very last stitch. Find our third chain. We're going to slip stitch to join. And I like to bring my slip stitch over big and tall because I use that as my stitch when we come around. So I'm just going to pull it out a little bit more than what I usually would. Do you see what I mean now? That's going to be a lot easier to work into by making the loop longer. We're also going to slip stitch loosely into our next stitch, working our way to the center. And again, I'm going to go into that chain space for another slip stitch. Splitted some of my yarn there a little. So these are actually our last 3 stitches that we'll work into, or the last 2. Go ahead and chain up 3, which again, this counts for our first stitch of the round. Then we're going to place another double crochet, 2 chains, and 2 double crochet back into that corner because we're growing our square now. Now we'll place a double crochet into each of our stitches up to the next corner, where we will place the 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So I'll work along this side with you, and then we'll meet back up. Sorry, that's my stomach growling. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, is it 14 across? Or did I lose count? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. So here in the corners, we'll always do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Make sure you don't cover up your first stitch working along the edges here when you place your corners. Sometimes if your work veers to the right, it would be easy to cover up that stitch. So sometimes I'll just push my stitches over to make it very noticeable that this is my next stitch. So let's continue to work that all the way around, and when we come up to the join, I will show you again how to work that. All right, we're to our last couple of stitches, and I left them unworked just so you can see how by, pulling up that bigger loop for our slip stitches creates really nice stitches for us to work into these last 2. And we're going to work that same technique for this last round. Let's go into that. Should have worked that one even looser, but that's okay. So the straightaways should have 14 stitches. So let's pull up a slightly bigger loop and find our 3rd chain. Go right behind that front loop. The first one, I'm being more mindful of this one here. And we'll go directly into that chain space. Chain up 3. Work a double crochet into that corner space. Chain 2 and 2 more double crochets. Always try to place my stitches behind that first stitch. Once the piece is done, it's easy to kind of manipulate your stitches around so they're straight. So we'll start here and we're going to crochet, double crochet all the way across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So between each of your corners, not counting the last one, you should have 18 stitches. So I'll work this last corner before I let you work the rest of the round on your own, and we will catch up at the join. So again, 18 double crochet to your next corner, and I will meet you at the join. All right, down to our last 2 stitches here. Again, those are both slip stitches, but we work them loose to make them easy to work into as a stitch. This is 18 for that straightaway, 18 stitches. And now, again, count up from the base of your chains, 1, 2, and 3. To that one there, we're going to slip stitch. This time we're going to fasten off because we are done creating the square. So just pull that out and cinch it down. If you want, you can weave in your ends. I ain't doing that right now. Let's go straight to the petals, which I'm going to use this. It's a little bit darker than that center. I think it's going to look so nice. So very nice. All right. So for the petals, how those are going to be worked is we are going to utilize those front loops way back to, what is that, the 4th or 5th round? 1, 2, 3, 4th. Yeah, the 4th round. And we want to do it in such a way that the big petals, let's see here, we're going to go through, just trying to remember, I believe it was off of, I like to go off of the third one. So see, oh, I guess I was out of camera. What I do is I find the first of those groups of 3. So this one here, I'm going to insert my hook. And then I just loop, again, I just loop my yarn over, pull it through, put your tail to the side so you don't accidentally start crocheting with it. I've done that many of times. You don't get far. And we're going to chain 3. It's okay if that starts pulling out a little bit. See how I just kind of pulled it down? Not to where it's like pulling it through, but once we get our second stitch in there, it becomes a lot easier. Jeez, I've got noodle and soup hair all over the place. So into that same stitch, we just worked that chain 3 up, and we're going to place a double crochet. Now work a chain 3. We're going to skip the next stitch, and into the next we are going to work 2 double crochet. Going to chain 1, skip 1, and work 2 double crochet into the next. Makes it a little bit easier as you work if you fold your work over. So I've got it all folded over, making those front loops just a little bit easier to work into. So on our first set, we did the 2 double crochet, chain 3, skip 1, 2 double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochet into the next. So for the entire way around, we will always be skipping 1 stitch and working 2 double crochets. The only thing that's going to change is we're going to alternate between chain 3 and chain 1. So since the last one was chain 1, we're going to go ahead and do chain 3, skip the next stitch, and work 2 double crochet into the next. I'll work a few more of these before letting you finish up this round on your own. So chain 1 now, skip 1, 2 into the next. See your petals starting to kind of form. All right, continue that pattern around, and I will meet you at the join. Okay, we're back here to the join. Just did my last little set of 3 chains. So we skip that next one. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and in the top of that chain 3, go ahead and slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch over to that first chain 3 space, which is where our actual petals are going to go. We're setting up like the base for the petals with this round. Come on. There we go. All right, so in the chain 3 spaces, we're going to chain up 3, which counts as our first stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochet, Go ahead and move those stitches over a little bit. Chain 2, and then 3 double crochet all into that chain 3 space. And our very first petal has been created. Now in those chain 1 spaces, going right over the chain into that space, we're going to place a single crochet. So the chain 3 spaces, you work 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 doubles. So in the chain 3 spaces, we're working a total of 6 double crochets. Again, that'll be 3 doubles, 2 chains, 3 doubles. Single crochet into that chain 1 space, and continue to make the petals around. I'll work one more up with you. Chain 2. Continue that all the way around, and I will meet you back at the join. Alrighty. Just have one more single crochet to place in that chain 1 space, and then we're going to join to the top of that chain. Go ahead and fasten your work off and pull that end through, and your square is complete. Might do a little bit of, finger blocking with it. Just need to weave in your ends. I used a slightly smaller hook for the piece that we just did than I did with this one. That's why there's a little bit of a size difference, but not a lot. I like that I changed the lighter color to the inside. I feel like it makes it pop a little bit more, but they're both equally as beautiful. That is my tutorial for the day. I've been holding off on doing live tutorials because Facebook once again has changed their format and no longer allows me to do landscape view, which is what I've recorded this video in. I can only do portrait, and it's just more difficult. So let me know that I'm reaching the right people with these tutorials, and if you'd like to see me live, maybe we can do like a, I don't know, ask me a question, or more of like a chatty Cathy vibe than a tutorial. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video to the end. I hope you enjoyed creating this, and remember that what you do matters. You are creating art. I think you are incredible. Be encouraged and have an absolutely wonderful week. Happy hooking, and I'll chat with you guys all real soon. See ya.